um,
Just
that,
waiting with anticipation.
yeah, I'm not sure I'm doing, not sure I'm doing it right. I think I'm retarded.
Can't help you. I've never even looked at it. I'm the foggiest.
Haven't the foggiest, not a Scooby, as we
No
would say,
Scooby.
not the
Scooby
foggiest.
free.
I think it's working. That's all I've
That's a
got.
great start to the stream, then, isn't it? Hold on, I can check it on this on the other one. If you can, is there a link or how does it work?
Oh fuck, I don't know. It's not safe for kids.
That's true.
Your channel, okay. Oh yeah, no, it's happening right now. If you go to our
The other
YouTube
one.
channel,
If you can, is there a link or how does it work?
yeah. Oh fuck, I don't know. Oh shit.
Oh, okay. Strange feedback. Okay.
It's not safe for kids. And
That's true.
there we go. That's your channel. Okay. Oh yeah, no, it's happening right now.
Well,
If you
it's not happening right now. It's happening about 20 seconds ago.
that may come in handy at some point.
Let's have a look. See what it looks like.
Does it do captions? Okay.
Oh, yes. Look at that.
Hey. Cool, the Dreamcatcher's first video.
One is watching and that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. What do you fucking do? Now, how long you got?
About an hour. That's all right.
Okay, I got not an hour. I got about 50 minutes total.
All right. Let's go through whatever it is that specifically you want to talk about.
So been listening to the calls, and I'm getting the feeling like the DPL's feeling a bit heavy. I'm sorry I got a bit pissed yesterday. I was just like,
Oh, did you?
KYC.
Who knows? Sorry.
Yeah, honestly, I've been thinking about getting into poker because no one seems to know what the fuck I'm what the fuck I'm even thinking anytime. But it bothers me immensely that like when you guys are talking about KYC and all that, the logical steps that you're going through would be valid if we were debating how to set up a KYC provider, which I think we should do. And, we need to go through all that, but that is just it's not it feels too heavy for the DPL, but it feels like the fact that these types of things are coming up or being considered as part of the DPL, it makes me jittery that I have a different understanding of what the DPL does to you, and I wanted to try and reconcile that because, yeah.
I think after yesterday's call, we are aligned, but let me check that. Because previously we had the terms of use, the end user agreement. So let's turn up and don't sign anything. And then we define the DPL as something you've signed and has. And one of the things that threw us off is never been KYC. It's some kind of identification. Because KYC has got a very specific definition to do with financial services, which doesn't actually apply. But we're using that term, so we have a namespace.
it still feels to me like the model you have in your head is about some sort of a central entity somewhere, because the discussion moves towards saying things like liability of Dreamcatcher Inc.
Yes, however, the reason for that is not that there needs to be a licensor. There needs to be something that grounds this and gives the rights, so that there is a legal entity there.
No,
There.
no, doesn't need to be
So,
at all.
um,
We're
so
not
who's
giving
giving?
we're not
Who's
giving
granting?
away rights to anyone for anything.
So, who's who's the DPL is issuing a bunch of rules,
I think this
and
is our fundamental discrepancy here. Troy touched on it the other day when he said, this is a single party contract. This contract is not between you or the user or the person and the Dreamcatcher. Not at all. This contract is open-ended. It's from themselves to anyone else who signed it. There's no named party. There's no central anything. And when you guys talk, you're talking about the Dreamcatcher network as being the one that produced the DPL. It technically didn't, and it doesn't matter. It's almost completely separate from it.
I think this is when I was talking. I don't know if you got to that part in the recording. I was putting down the questions I have for legal advice, and that is one of them, because this has been produced by someone. That someone is a legal entity, and they're enforcing some rules for interaction of two other people.
We're not. Right? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is the standpoint of master-slave. That would put us in a privileged position above people that sign the DPL.
No, I would disagree. It's more in the position of referee and players.
Either way, the referee is privileged. The referee can send players off the field. The referee can stop the game. We have none of those powers, and we must not have them.
Okay.
You've thought about this as though there is some referee. There isn't. This is the knack or the trouble with designing decentralized political systems. What we have right now in the current chain space is a large collection of theoretically decentralized political systems that really just try and mimic the existing someone's in charge, and then just sort of spread it around and have some anonymous people in there, and not like decentralized, right? It's not. You just remade the same old problem, because like decentralized is actually something very different. True peer-to-peer is not referee and player. Okay, so let me start right at the beginning of like the first two atoms, right? There will be you and there will be me. I will sign the DPL, you will sign the DPL. If you breach it, I will go to court with the DPL. Like, I have to stand up for myself. There's no referee, there's no other party, there's no anybody else going to come and help me. The DPL needs to be worded in such a way that I could call on someone else. If there was a friend of mine who saw me getting treated outside the bounds of the DPL, they could come to my aid and begin legal prosecution to stand up for my rights. But there is no entity. It's me. I'm either standing up for myself, or someone else is, or I invite someone else to stand up for me.
Okay, yeah.
The model, I swear that it smells like, the model in your head smells like a company granting its employees some kind of privilege.
See, I don't disagree disagree with your initial two-atom position.
Right.
I think probably what may be happening, what I'm trying to do is to take existing legal text and existing legal framework and put it into a place where it's going to act in the way we expect it to act. However, the snags always come when there's some kind of liability, and this is more than. Let me put it another way. The two-atom thing, you could publish any old contract and have two people sign up to it. The DPL doesn't have any privileged position. You could have both download this. You're on the Dreamcatcher. Both download this. Both sign it. It gives some kind of rights and responsibilities between the two of us, but it's nothing to do with the DPL. It's a completely different contract. If the DPL has a privileged position, that's got to come from somewhere. And this is the bit. All this stuff I've been trying to get the two-atom way of looking at it into the old legal framework. It always pulls back. There is an entity here. There's not a privileged position, but it recognizes that the DPL is a privileged document. A better way to put it.
Even that I disagree with. And I'll call on some comments from Troy about how there's a Dreamcatcher DAO required to grant permission to core functioning services. Those things are completely irrelevant to the DPL. The DPL is simply the ability to connect your legal liabilities in the jurisdiction that you're in to your behaviors on chain. Just like you said in Scotland, a handshake can be the formation of a contract. We don't have any such legislation that says that my behavior on these chains is a binding contract. And yet we intend to conduct swift business, wholesome business, using these electronic systems to negotiate agreement and make commitments. The DPL is there to connect that jurisdictional force to those commitments in as little way as is necessary at first, allowing people to escalate up through providing increasing levels of KYC and affirmations of varying kinds. But they do not, under any circumstance, need to have all this heavyweight KYC liability, AML built into it. None of that is what the model I have for the DPL in my head. What I think you're talking about is modules that are built in the DRM.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so if you go down the rabbit hole of building those modules now, we'll be here forever.
Oh, we're not. We're not. You see the table in the bottom of page 1. The DPL end user license is the only thing we're doing. That's the handshake between peers. The rest can wait, and actually, it's not for us to do anyway. Even the self-identification step, whether that is signing the DPL, which is a form of self-identification, or posting up something inside your Ghost as evidence that you are the real person you're talking about. That just comes out of the system. It's nothing to do with us. There's no rules. There's no regulations around that at all. But
sorry, which document are you referring me to?
I'm in DPL version 0.1, end of page 1, the table.
Just give me a
which is kind of, it's a stack of
DPL.
This is where we got
0.1, page 1, table KYU.
Yeah, so we're just doing that the bottom rung.
Okay, but I keep hearing that it needs KYC, it needs KYU.
No, we. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to the rest of the conversation after you knocked off yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
But what we're trying to do there is strip it back to right down to the basics, and then rebuild this stack of increasing proof that you're a legal entity, you're a person there, and you've got an attack.
Why do that in the DPL?
Oh, this isn't in the DPL. No, this is the thinking around the DPL. Because previously, remember, we had the terms of use and then the DPL and the KYC, and this discussion at the start of the call was, there's no...
Have I made a mistake? Like, have I made a mistake and actually the DPL is going to be as minimal as possible and it has no KYC, no liability, no nothing in it?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we should have started that, point that out at the start, but yes. So the entire thing's collapsed, and you see what I wanted to do, and this was just basically so I can get my head around exactly where this would go, make sure it all hangs together coherently, because ultimately someone's probably going to want to provide financial services on this. That stack is quite an interesting thing. Now, the second tier, the self-identification, we've already got inside of the Ghost. That just comes as free from the way we've defined the Dreamcatcher, specifically under evidence. The third party is simply that evidence being collaborated by someone else. So someone else coming along and saying, yeah, I know this guy. That evidence is correct, adding his reputation onto that piece. But again, it's all stuff we've already got in the Dreamcatcher. Yep. Document identification service is up for someone to actually build. Nothing to do with us.
Well, all of these are, right? All three of them are up for someone else to build. It'll probably be us. And, there's money to be made in providing that service.
There is, but we get this one. I don't know if you can see my highlight, the self-identification step. We get that for free because of the way we built the Ghosts. That is purely the Ghost that represents you. You remember inside the Ghost, there's a field on evidence. You put in evidence saying, hey, this is me.
Yep.
It's self-identification.
So basically, the way I'm picturing how this gets built is that within the protocol, within the Dreamcatcher protocol, there are interfaces and jack points for us to allow the varying kinds of KYC or KYU that you might need, such as peer-based, authority-based, all those kinds of things. Yeah, and so long as it's built into the protocol to interact with these services in a standardized way, which includes being able to have liability insurance and things like that, then that's like we're talking about the same thing, right?
We are. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Which is good because we're on the same page. And that's so. This summary is where we're at the moment, and it's just that bottom line that the DPL and user agreement that we're doing. There may be some clauses.
Can I ask a bunch of questions to check that what I think is happening? Okay. So I can sign the DPL with just a pen, scan it, and then I'm DPL'd.
Yeah, and you scan it and you put it on as an asset that your Ghost points to in evidence, and you've gone up one identification. There you are. So you've identified, you've agreed to the DPL. Previously, it's just assumed, but the very fact that you're there.
What is the sign-on step or the top of the funnel from new user? I just read about the Dreamcatcher in a blog post. To I have now posted my signed DPL.
You sign on, you create an account, and the end user agreement is enforced by the fact that you're using it.
Did I have to click OK to something?
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be normal terms.
Why do I need to click on usage terms to begin using this thing?
The end user agreement is the only difference between you signing it and you not signing it is still enforced, but you signing it gives other people confidence that they know exactly or that know who you claim to be. Without signing it, you could set up a dozen accounts. You could call yourself Mickey Mouse.
Block that. You are free to set up a billion accounts.
Exactly.
If you want.
Exactly. But the fact that you set up a fake account doesn't mean that you can not disobey the end user agreement. It just means that it's going to be quite hard to do anything about it. But it's still there. It's not
Okay,
very
I
enforceable.
disagree that in the user flow there would need to be any kind of click through other than you're just on the site and you're like, we don't care. Like, we don't care. Like, if you want to, whatever you want to do, you go ahead, you do it.
Yeah, there's one counter. I'm actually quite flexible in this one. There's one counter to that one, which is, sure, you can download the software, spin up your own instance. If you want to now start interacting using the Dreamcatcher protocol to other instances, you should be doing that under some kind of agreement with the other people.
No.
No.
That's you insisting on a pattern of behavior that may not fit everyone.
All right. In that case,
the DPL is there only for people who wish to deepen their connection between other people within this network so that more serious levels of business can begin to transact.
In that case, there's no need to particularly sign it, is there? You just need to state it.
Well,
it's like
that. So this is the user flow that I think happens. Okay, you go to the site, browsing around, you're like, oh, this Dreamcatcher thing. Okay, cool. And then you're like, you poke around for a bit. You're an anonymous guest user. We don't pressure you to sign up or anything like that. And then you're like, oh, I want to actually do something. I've been in read-only mode. Looks cool. So you create an account. Your account's going to need, you're like, well, you know, fuck, what's your email? What's something? Do you even want to recover this account? If you don't want to, that's fine. Don't lose your keys. Okay, good luck. And then it's like you should be browsing around and you're like, oh, I want to actually do a project, or I've got an idea and I don't want people to steal it. And then you're like, how do I do that? Oh, I use the DPL. Okay, I found some other guys that got this DPL flag on their accounts. They're saying that they don't want to deal with me until I've signed this DPL, which sort of feels a lot like how when I go to talk to a private company and they ask me to sign an NDA, I'm like, oh, yep, okay, reasonable. I click on my account and it's got a button that says sign the DPL. I click on it, the document pops up. The document has embedded within it the chain ID of my user account chain. I can then either sign it on the digital device, I can print it and sign it and give it back, whatever. But as soon as I've confirmed that I've signed it, it's now available on chain and it's linked to or embedded within my user account chain, and my user account chain is embedded within the document that I just signed, right?
I think I see where we might be drifting. There is an implied thing. This table really comes into, okay, so as soon as we try and put some kind of structure around the rules for interaction, but there is the, I don't know, let's call it anarchy. Because you could download the Dreamcatcher, go to DOS, create your ghost, put anything you want in it. You know, you could connect to, as long as it's using the correct calls, connect to any other instance.
Yeah.
You don't need an account to do that.
At entry point, the only thing that's policing you is the functionality of the software. That's it. There's no,
yeah.
There can be no, we don't want any kind of restrictions, no click-through agreements, no anything.
Yeah. So when you're saying the sign-up funnel, the DPL is the first thing on the sign-up funnel. However, what I think is worth pointing out is there's no need for a sign-up funnel. You just need an instance.
Yeah, you can be read-only. You can be self-hosted. Even when you're self-hosted, you can be like, oh, for whatever reason, I found need of the DPL. I need the DPL now. And so in your account, there's a button that says commit to the DPL. You sign it, blah, blah, blah. Then next thing that will happen is you're like, I want to enter into some deep covert projects with some people. They want more DPL commitment out of me. I'm going to go and see a witness. I'm going to go see a notary, and I'm going to get this signed, and I'm going to present my documents, and I'm going to get a notary stamp. So now I get a new badge that's like DPL'd, signed by notary.
Yeah, which is the third part assertion. Is the similar to a witness? Notary is just a witness, just one that's got a lot of skin.
Yeah. Right, and so these are all things that I volunteer to do. I am never required to do them. I do them because other people that I want something from have either asked for it from me, or because I want to prove that I can be trusted, and so I allow or commit to my peers that they can ream the shit out of me using the jurisdictional forces that are wherever I'm based if I break my chain commitments.
Right. So do you agree with this table as it now stands? Now I've added this anarchy bottom line, which is all you need is a laptop and the code, and away you go.
Yeah.
This
is absolutely not. Sorry.
I was going to point out a couple of things. There is no account creation.
Well, there is, but it's optional.
Well, I'll say there's just there's an assertion that you've agreed to the DPL.
No.
So who's the account authority?
Anyone. Let me roll back. So we're trying to make a table that goes from least committed to most committed in terms of the roles you take on and the punishments you're up for if you don't keep your promises.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so least of all would be self-hosted anarchy, right? You're not even connected to the main Dreamcatcher network. You're running the software. You're doing the thing, right? We don't even know that you're there.
Yep.
Next level would be read-only, where you're browsing around the public Dreamcatcher. You're totally anonymous. We didn't ask you to make an account. You don't have to. You're browsing around. Then the level up from that is I have created an account and I am my own account authority, or I use one of the hosting services that offered to run my account for me. So if I'm skilled, I can run my own instance of the Dreamcatcher, running my own account, and that's all I need. That's an account. Or I could go to Tom and Scott and Troy's hosting service, where they've kindly offered to host my accounts for me. Just all I gotta do is go into a web browser and click OK.
Yeah. I misunderstood what you're saying by account. All you're saying there is just you're offloading some of the, hosting, the effort of getting in. Yeah.
It's
not a Dreamcatcher. It's an account with the provider of.
Yeah. If I have an account that's running the software that came from us, which is AGPL'd, there will be a button in there to allow you to escalate up by signing the DPL, and it will guide you through the various levels of signing, whereby the initial one is just I signed it and I said that I signed it. Then the next one would be I got verified with either one of the online KYC services or Notary Public, right? And none of those things are forced upon anyone. That it's strictly a case of, does the other guy that I'm trying to transact with trust the KYC authority that said that I am who I am?
Good. Yeah, we are talking about this thing, and I think this comes down.
Why had it felt so different?
Because we haven't got our language tight enough yet. So the the self-hosted, I agree. You just download it, fine. And the anarchy no account needed read only really comes to a connection with others. So if you self-host it, it's a sandbox. You connect to someone.
Not necessarily. You might want to connect with other people who are self-hosted. The point is there is no force, there is no center But me, personally, I'm not going to be interacting with anyone who isn't DPL'd plus KYC verified because I'm like, I don't trust you. That doesn't mean that that has to be done by anyone else, right? And I'm going to choose how I trust KYC.
Let me test something, because KYC is way at the top of the stack, and don't need to deal with that. But when you're saying you create an account, the way I understand it is you don't need to create an account. But if you do create an account, what we're talking about there is actually a hosting agreement with someone else. There is no account authority. There's nobody issuing DPL.
But it could be self-hosted. It could be running on your own servers. The account is just you're running a particular covenant that has a particular set of compatible APIs that lets you interact with the Dreamcatcher system as though you're a person.
Right. What difference is that to what we've got as the person object?
Nothing.
I think this is a language thing. I think we're drifting, or it seems like we're drifting. We're actually talking about the same thing when we chat it through.
So that is the person object. You create the person object. Anyone can create one so long as you have compatible software. You can patch that software, modify that software, but no one would know any different so long as you stuck to the API.
Precisely. Yeah.
Okay. When you sign a DPL, that's part of the API, and I can verify that there's a document here and you've got a pictorial signature in there. Okay, fine. Then I need to ask myself the question, if I want to prosecute this person, can I find them? What jurisdiction will I be prosecuting in? And do I have the time and the money it would take? Right?
Right.
And so to answer those questions, I might say, I trust this broad spectrum of KYC providers, or if I know the person personally, I'm like, I know where his mum lives, I know where his sister lives, I know all these things, so I'm okay with that. I can find him. And then when it comes to the money, hopefully there'll be services that we've set up that allow you to purchase insurance. You're like, hey, here's $100 a month. I want to make sure that if the DPL is breached against me, you, Mr. Legal Service Insurance Provider, will hunt this guy down and make sure he pays for it. And then...
Right. And there's two points there, I think, to tighten the whole thing up. We should stop talking about KYC as part of the identification, because KYC is very specifically only needed by someone, in this situation, setting up a financial service project.
Yeah, right. It's something, it's basically said in the same breath as AML. And it is a strict requirement if money is going to move, but the DPL makes no mention of money moving anywhere.
Right. And the DRM includes inside of it already, because of the ghosts, an area for you to state evidence. And the whole kind of going up through notaries or, having peer-to-peer identification services and so on, all that's just adding to evidence.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yes. Okay.
And I can get as tight as you want. Maybe someone comes down to your house and says, I knocked on his door, took a photograph of him. There it is. Fantastic. Who knows what it's going to be?
Who knows?
But it's an identification service. I think we're kind of sliding past, or when we were sliding past each other, I think it's because we're misusing KYC. We shouldn't talk about KYC. It's an identification, and it's a continuum of identification inside of the Ghost. And the second thing is the accounts kind of threw me, but I think we're back on track on that one. There is no account. It's just the creation of a person object, inside of which you can start to build up the evidence of, yes, I say I've signed my DPL. There you go.
And I think we can make a modification to the person object, in that the person object also includes the ability to sign the DPL using both a digital signature and a handwritten signature. So that's like an extra API hook that we need in that object.
I'll go back and have a look to see what that is, because remembering that we want also groups to be able to be LDEs. Previously, we were only really thinking about individual users, but after...
The DPL is only there to be signed by single users.
I disagree with that one because if you've got a small company, a limited
no,
company, that's
no,
it's legal entities that can sign
no,
things.
no.
Legal
It's
entities.
personal. No, you're not having
Well,
people setting up limited liability companies so that they can commit to the DPL and then go around and dick all the little players. We're not having it.
well, if they do that, then it's exactly the same as them setting up a limited company in the real world and going around and addicting people. The same
True.
kind of real world laws apply, and their directors are a limited company that gets sued. Okay, so it goes down, but they're going to have trouble. They can't become a director again.
Actually, I'll take that back. Sure, fine, but if as long as I can identify that I'm dealing with a company, and I better make sure that I've got enough visibility that the person making these commitments on chain on behalf of this company actually is able to do so.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, so take it back. DPL can be signed by on behalf of a company if you want to lock that company up, but I've I don't know
If
how
you're a
you're gonna.
company,
It's harder to enforce. It's harder to enforce.
yeah. Well, legally, it's exactly the same because it's
I
just a
mean,
legal entity.
for our purposes right now, our primary focus is individuals, specifically individual coders, because we're trying to get salespeople and coders who can work for us, sort of, not really part time, but just on a casual basis. Right?
Yeah,
We're not at
yeah.
the point where it makes sense to have companies in there. I would imagine it would be inefficient for companies to play like this, but could be wrong. So I'll take it back. Sure, you can have companies. So anyone who is able to be punished jurisdictionally can commit to the DPL and
Yeah.
can be modeled as a person-ish thing within the Dreamcatcher and make commitments on chain that can then be earthed or jurisdictionally forced upon them to upkeep at penalty of whatever your country lets people do to each other for breaking promises.
Anything from having to have a slight slap on the wrist to being whipped.
Yeah.
The initial life.
Okay.
Good.
Well,
Okay.
that's
I'm gonna get these definitions locked down so our language is better on this one. Remembering that this is just one step on as we're going down. As going
yeah.
down.
And look, the DPL does not need to be perfect, man. It only needs to be just enough to get going with. Right?
Yeah.
The point is, once it's there and operational, we can use the Dreamcatcher system to refine the DPL. Let's just fucking get going with it. Let's get our fingers burnt. Let's make some mistakes.
That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, so let's do it first rather than trying to think of every single scenario and fucking it still happens anyway. Let's just, fuck it.
No, I'm not thinking about every scenario. What I'm trying to do is get our what we put inside of the DPM needs to be tight. It doesn't need to be complete, but definitely not going to be correct. But it needs to be tight. At least we're not, talking across.
I would also
things.
add it needs to be fucking swift, Maxwell, because we're running out of fucking time. So balance all those things, but it needs to be quick.
Yeah. That's fine. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll tighten this up. Just with the identification stack will be inside of notes. It's not going to be inside the DPL. I'll go back and link it back to the dictionary and exactly, or suggest where in the dictionary these objects are actually going to be held.
Okay.
Move on to the next bit.
Okay. Sweet. Are there any other questions I can answer for you? I got 9 minutes.
No, I'm good. I'm just looking down, but I don't think I've got anything. I think Troy continues to generate more questions every time you answer something.
Yeah, we got to start capturing those into useful things. So I tried to make FAQs, and I tried to make these little snippet documents where it sort of warrants a bit more discussion. Sooner or later, he's probably going to ask about the objectional material problem. I think I got a good fix for that, which is basically a hash matching module within our system, because Turns out the FBI actually holds a database of every known objectionable image, and you can get hold of the hashes of them, so you can know if somebody is using that on your system. So we can actually we can include in our software this checker that runs, and if it detects objectionable material, it just shuts down. And if you want to use our code for objectionable material, you actually have to fork the code base, remove that module, and go and run yourself. But it's like we're not right. Like we didn't overreach by giving ourselves control over you because we don't have that. But we're simply saying that our software and our systems may not be used for objectionable material, and they know innately when they're being used for that purpose, and they will shut down.
That's quite a nice solution, actually.
Yeah. So it's like decentralized anti-objectionable material, which is kind of important, right? Because I mean, people have put objectionable material on the Bitcoin blockchain. It's not great.
Yeah. I like that. Although it's quite a long, probably a hash list that's,
Yeah, but it can be a chain. It can be a chain, so it can be arbitrarily large, so it could be terabytes in size if we needed it to be, and the lookup function can be fucking milliseconds. You got basically
that's nice.
That's nice. Like that. Table of all the forbidden hashes in the world, and I think we're doing our job if we make our software not be able to be used for those purposes without putting ourselves in control of every user.
And of course, it's open source, and if I could,
everyone can take a look. You can see how it works, and you can use it in your own code. But it allows our user base to feel comfortable that they're not hanging out with a bunch of pedophiles. You can't be running the software and it would have just not stopped working, or you forked it. And, we can't stop you forking it, but we can stop you using our version for bad things. So
yeah. No, it's nice. I like that a lot. I'm looking down. I don't have any other items to go through. I'm just chugging through with Troy at the moment.
Okay, sweet.
Cool. Next one is tomorrow. My time. So what happens with this live stream now? Does it just stay there now?
Yeah,
is that it?
That's it. That's it. And so you can, because it's a good place to, if you got YouTube on your phone, you can listen to it. You can change the playback speed, double time. It should do transcription, so you can view the text within it. So you can search it.
You're going to have to buy that YouTube subscription that allows the thing to play if your screen closes, which I've been resisting.
No, what you need is, first of all, you need to not be on iPhone, and then you need to get an app called NewPipe, which is a Android YouTube clone that just doesn't have any ads or anything on it. It just downloads the stream directly. So.
All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. Step 1, don't be on iPhone.
Always, man. Don't be on iPhone. Anyway.
Actually, I have a plan to actually wean myself off the entire ecosystem in a couple of years. But I have to wait till that's the only thing.
With a plan to do exactly the opposite for you.
Right. Cool.
I'll see you later.
Yeah. I'll see you when I see you.
Okay. Peace.
Yeah.